Do we have too much government?
We need to put people ahead of corporate profits.
This system is so lopsided. This threat is a real threat to democracy.
And I think that's really important. That's something we haven't been doing in this country for a long time.
Where do you start? What do you do? How do you do it?
Access to Democracy and other Eagan community television programming is supported by Thomson Reuters, makers of Westlawn Next and based in Eagan. Through Westlawn Next and other innovative online services, Thomson Reuters is the world's leading source of intelligent information for businesses and professionals. Online at thomsonreuters.com. And by U.S. Federal Credit Union, the member-owned financial institution offering service, value, and experience you can trust to the greater Twin Cities community.
Welcome. Access to Democracy is back with a guest who's been here, I guess, since you started as president of the Twins in 2002, Dave St. Peter, who's become a good friend and a great supporter of Access to Democracy. And it's like an annual visit that we have with you. And we've had many others from the front office and actually players too.
Well, it's great to be here. I have great respect for you and for your family and for this program, and it's always fun to talk baseball.
It is fun to talk baseball, and I never get tired of it. I can imagine you could get a little more tired than I am, of baseball. But
well, you know what?
You live it constantly.
Yeah, but I'm always reminded by what a great game it is, and despite maybe this challenge or that challenge, and certainly we've had our share of challenges on the field the last 3 years, there's still just a tremendous passion for the game throughout Twins territory, and people love to understand kind of what we're doing to get better. Ultimately, what's going on at Target Field, what's happening with an event like the All-Star Game. So there's never any shortage of topics.
And we're going to talk about some of those things today. It's Dave, in addition to being a frequent guest over these years, and I can't believe that we're ready to start our 16th year. Our 15th year, I take it back, with 1,600 interviews, a dozen of which are yours, but was also good enough to write a foreword for my first book about the program 3 years ago. It's hard to believe that was 3 years ago that came out.
Well, again, I think that programs like this really provide a tremendous service to our community in terms of showcasing issues that are important, profiling people that are important, and I commend you and everybody involved with it, and the Twins are honored to be included as a topic now and then.
And we're thrilled to have them, so I guess it's a mutual love affair. This year's team,
yes.
How do you assess it? I came in with much higher hopes than what we've gone through the last several years.
Well, our expectations internally as an organization certainly are that we take a significant step forward. Certainly the first couple months of the season have been filled with some ups and downs. There's certainly some things that have been disappointing. We haven't probably had the consistency in terms of our starting pitching. We clearly have had some injuries, mainly to a Josh Willingham, to an Oswaldo Arcia, losing them for a significant amount of time. And we ultimately have had to play some people probably out of position, and therefore our defense, particularly in the outfield, has not been what we would like it to be.
Yeah.
On the flip side, we've had some really strong positives. I think you've seen a great story like what Chris Colabello did the month of April with 30 RBIs. Phil Hughes emerging as one of the better starting pitchers in the American League. Clearly a Glenn Perkins having another all-star season. Brian Dozier continues to have great offense. Trevor Plouffe seems to be coming into his own as a major league hitter. So I think there's enough positives there, and as we find ourselves in a division that appears to be wide open, I'm pretty bullish that we will be able to take that step forward and ultimately not only surprise some people within the American League and around baseball, but ultimately contend for a postseason spot.
2/3 of a season left to do that.
We do.
And even though when I looked at the paper this morning, I saw we were in last place, we're only 4 games out of first place.
Yeah,
it's so tight, that division.
Is it competitive balance? Is it parity? I'm not sure, but at the end of the day, I think that there's a lot of teams that are bunched up, not just in our division, but the American League East, the American League West. We've struggled against the West for the most part, but we have winning records against pretty much everybody else in the Central and in the East. And ultimately, we think we're going to be able to compete with those teams. A lot of people will look at a baseball season, try to define it on a week, on a month, on 2 months. It's such a long season. It's the long haul. And one of the reasons I'm bullish is I think our starting pitching will be more consistent going forward. Ultimately, we have some depth in Rochester if we need to go get it. The trade deadline is looming, so there will be some opportunities to make this baseball team better.
Good. And that's good to hear. And Terry Ryan is back full-time, who's certainly one of the most respected general managers in baseball.
No doubt about it. And Terry obviously dealt with cancer surgery and then, of course, the treatments that followed. And I'm really happy to report that that both he and his doctors are very optimistic that they got the cancer, that he's going to be cancer-free going forward. And I'm also really happy to report that he's showing more and more energy. He's really back at it. And Terry, is somebody that I think Twins fans have a high level of respect for. I think they have a high level of trust in Terry. And ultimately, what he and Rob Anthony and the other folks within our baseball operations group can do here the next few months relative to making this team better, I think that's going to be essential.
And I have no doubt that that's what's happening. Some of the new faces, I mean, the difference when Willingham and Arcia were hurt to when they came back last week, and Arcia, who's hit 2 home runs in the last 2 nights as we sit here on June 6th, and Willingham, who's been lights out. I mean, they just stepped right back in. And you can see the difference that makes to a team. Yeah,
both Josh and Oswaldo have power bats. Clearly, they go about it maybe a little bit differently. Josh tends to take maybe a little bit more seasoned approach, really looking for his pitch. And Oswaldo Arcia, clearly, there's not a pitch he probably doesn't like. A little bit more like an Oliva Puckett, and he has to learn probably a little bit more plate discipline.
He reminds me of Yogi Berra.
But I'll tell you,
he would swing at one up here in his eyes and hit it over the wall.
But the ball sounds different coming off of his bat. He's a young guy. He's a guy that's certainly going to be part of our future. He's a guy that plays with a tremendous amount of energy and passion. I think fans are starting to recognize that. I think he will be, very quickly become a fan favorite. And he's clearly somebody we're counting on, not just for 2014, but for the next decade.
And speaking of 2014, we have a fairly big event that's happening here in July.
Yeah, the Minnesota Twins are really honored to be the host team for the 2014 All-Star Game, the 85th Midsummer Classic. And it's a tremendous showcase, not only for our franchise and the history of Twins baseball, but really for the city of Minneapolis, the Twin Cities metropolitan area, and of course the state of Minnesota. And we're working very closely with Major League Baseball to make sure that we take advantage of every opportunity along the way to showcase this great community. And I think that we're really excited the way fans are turning out. I think in excess of 90,000 tickets have already been sold for Fan Fest, the events at Target Field, the Sunday Futures Game, the Monday Home Run Derby, the Tuesday the All-Star Game. For the most part, are sold out already.
Well, it's interesting the way Major League Baseball has turned what used to be sort of a showcase game where there was no incentive for either team to win other than personal pride. Now the team that wins gets home field advantage in the series, and they've turned it into a whole week. The things that you just mentioned, Fun Fest, and the Home Run Derby, tremendous publicity around the country.
Yeah, it really has expanded greatly, and I think most people would recognize baseball's All-Star Game is still probably the top All-Star type game in professional sports, both in terms of history as well as meaning. I think the thing that's changed the most since 1985, beyond of course the explosion with the Home Run Derby, the first ever Home Run Derby was held at the Metrodome in 1985. I think the things fans will notice that have changed the most are really everything that happens outside of the ballpark. So Fan Fest at the Minneapolis Convention Center, the Red Carpet Parade, which is a wonderful new tradition that takes every All-Star right down Nicollet Mall on the afternoon of the All-Star game. Of course, we're going to do a free public concert over at TCF Bank Stadium on Saturday night, July the 12th. Then all the different legacy giving projects, really charity, philanthropy, giving back by Major League Baseball, the Minnesota Twins, and our ownership, the Pohlad family, has really gone to new levels. So there's a lot of different ways for fans, for the people of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Twins territory to become engaged in and around the Major League Baseball All-Star Game and to really be part of that celebration.
And there will be a lot of publicity, there'll be a lot of hype, and it can only augur good things for the team.
Well, we believe so. We certainly know that we can point to a direct economic impact for our community and our region of upwards of $80 million. But I think beyond just the goodwill, or beyond the economic impact and the goodwill is really an element that's really hard to quantify. And when you get an All-Star game, and of course now in the future a Super Bowl and a Final Four, what I always think is the greatest value to that is that exposure for your community in terms of what that does to the prestige, really to the brand of the state of Minnesota. It's hard to quantify that, but I know that it's a meaningful outcome and one that's absolutely essential to our ability to compete really on a global basis.
Well, we have what is the state-of-the-art stadium in the major leagues, Target Field. And if anybody watching this has never been to Target Field, it's just an incredible facility.
Well, we're proud of it. It's certainly been a great home for the Minnesota Twins. Hard to believe we're now in our 5th season. We've worked hard to not only to keep it up, but to continue to make it better. We've opened Target Field Station, which is a new intermodal transit hub, thanks to the leadership of Hennepin County and a partnership with the Twins and Target and United Properties. We think that the All-Star Game will really provide an incredible platform to showcase our beautiful ballpark and again
Light
what it
rail
means to downtown, and really an urban design, and one that we think has been groundbreaking.
Whether it's whether you're coming from the Mall of America or you're coming from St. Paul, it stops at Target Field.
Target Field
and
was,
there's a train line also right there.
Yes, I mean Target Field was sited where it was really because, of course, the urban connections, but rail had a tremendous amount to do with it, and understanding that we had the Hiawatha line at the time. Now we've got a green line coming on that'll take fans from downtown St. Paul to the ballpark, future Southwest Corridor, Northwest Commuter Line. All those rail lines really terminate and or pass through Target Field Station.
Right.
So it's really strategically located to be a critical part of all the future transit lines in this community.
And you have something else that a lot of teams don't have, and that is plenty of parking facilities.
We do.
Parking garages.
Again, we're blessed.
Many.
We're blessed with more than adequate parking, not controlled by the team, controlled by either the city or private operators. But I think the good news is fans, I think for the most part, have found ingress and egress in and out of Target Field and in that stadium district to be very, very doable, and probably much better than maybe some people had forecast back 6-7 years ago when people had predicted doom and gloom.
Very accessible to freeways also. So,
no doubt.
I mean,
no doubt. It's been a great
it's
home
been a
run.
win-win-win.
In so many ways, it's certainly been a catalyst in combination with rail for a significant amount of incremental development, mainly in the North Loop neighborhood, and I think with really strong signs that more is to come.
Now, even down in Florida, the Fort Myers facility, which was an attractive facility. I mean, Sharon and I shot a special down there a couple of seasons ago, interviewed a lot of the players, is undergoing a tremendous renovation right now.
Yeah, we've been excited by Fort Myers in terms of its what that community has meant to Minnesota Twins baseball dating back to 1991, and we were able to come to terms with an agreement with the county for a very significant renovation, not just of the main stadium, Hammond Stadium, where we play our Grapefruit League games, but also really the entire complex. So we've been very focused, obviously, with player development in Fort Myers on a year-round basis. We have a new player development academy that's been part of that mix, a new playing field, new training facilities for our minor league players. So at the end of the day, we think it's a game changer, not just for fan amenities over at Hammond Stadium, which will get the most publicity, but for everything else that goes into our player development efforts in that community.
Well, thanks to Rick King and Thomson Reuters, all our interns here will be at Target Field on, I think it's August 24th, when we make up a rainout game.
Yep.
With Oakland, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, we're thrilled to have you.
Or Detroit, but I'm not sure now which one it is.
I think that game is Detroit.
But Rick was very good and acknowledged the contribution of all these young people who really make this show go.
Yeah, I've obviously had a chance to see them do their work, and it's important. Not only are they getting a tremendous level of experience, but in their own way, they're helping serve the community and making sure that this show is accessible to the community, but also produced in a first-class manner.
And we thank you for that. But another new aspect of the Twins is 96.3 FM.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we obviously
the Pohlads went out and bought a radio station.
Yeah, we're involved with a radio station, and 96.3 K-Twin is a music format, but also very important to us is the home of Minnesota Twins baseball, and it represented the first time we had an opportunity to put Twins baseball on the FM dial. Clearly, there's a whole new demographic that is on the FM dial that doesn't frequent the AM dial, and more importantly, I think it just sounds so much better. So having a Corey Provis and Dan Gladden call the games is great, but having them call on FM is even better. And that partnership, combined with the Twins radio network, the Treasure Island Baseball Network, which carries Twins baseball to 80-plus stations across Twins territory, really helps ensure that level of accessibility to our product that is so critical.
And the consistency of Fox Sports North in terms of the television also.
Well, yeah, we've been blessed with great broadcast partners, and Fox Sports North does a wonderful job in producing our games, and again, carrying 150-plus games across the upper Midwest to our fans. And for a long, long time, Twins baseball's been really destination programming, and I like to believe that it helps bring people together. Yes, at the ballpark, but even in living rooms, and restaurants and bars and other places where people frequent all across the region.
Let's talk about food at Target Field. Food was incredible that first year. You had so many varieties of food, but each year you have expanded the foods that are offered there so that you can get just a little bit of anything.
Well, we certainly had an objective of coming to Target Field and take the food and beverage experience to a whole new level within this marketplace. And I think for the most part we've been successful with that. Though we always know that we have to keep working, that there's different opportunities to explore. I think the key to it has been that we've been able to strike some really workable local partnerships with branded type foods, whether it be a Kamarchik's, whether it be a Murray's, whether it be now a Butcher and Boar, or an Izzy's Ice Cream, or Andrew Zimmern's AZ Canteen. The list goes on, but there's a tremendous amount of variety. There's a lot of fun options and things that really resonate with people. So whether it be Max Walleye or whether it be the El Burrito Mercado Waka Taco, there's a great variety of food and beverage, and there's something for everybody. And one thing we've really learned that maybe surprised me is just how much food and beverage can be really central to the game day experience. It goes even beyond what we had expected coming to Target Field.
And if anybody's had the luxury of going downstairs to the restaurant,
the Thomson Reuters Champions Club.
Yeah, the Champions Club. Incredible food down there.
Yeah, that's obviously the space you're referring to. The Thomson Reuters Champions Club is the most premium area within the ballpark. It's we have a long waiting list of people looking to buy season tickets in that area. And you know, it really delivers.
It's pretty much right behind home
right
plate.
directly behind home plate, and comes with valet parking and you know, an all-access restaurant that's basically unlimited food and beverage. You know, it's a different experience. It's one that is, you know, really it's unmatched in my mind in this marketplace, and maybe unmatched around Major League Baseball. But it's also, you know, it's also one of those things that's pretty exclusive. So that area we're going to continue to focus on, but we're also continuing to focus on all those other areas in the ballpark that maybe are a little bit more accessible to the general fan.
Now, people see the players on the field, but they have no idea of what goes on in terms of behind all that. How many employees do the Twins have?
Well, you know, in terms of full-time salaried employees in Minnesota, we've got about 140 to 150. But we rely on a number of seasonal part-time employees, game day employees. And at any given time, the Twins may have 800 to 900 of those. You might see another 800 to 1,000 employees that really work the concessions operation. So, you know, it's a significant number over the course of a baseball season, probably upwards of 2,000 plus employees that
and very expensive
that contribute mightily to our ability to provide the level of quality, the level of service, and really just that game day experience that is so important. I'm not sure that we, as an organization, always have full control of what happens on the playing field. It's a sport. It's the ultimate in reality programming. You just don't know. The flip side of that is we feel we do have a fair amount to say about what that experience is off of the playing field, in the stands, at a concession stand, as you take a ticket, whatever it might be. And to that end, we spend a lot of time with those employees and training and trying to really shape that experience.
And it really, really works out well. Now, payroll-wise, we're considered not one of the big cities. Our payroll is probably a third of what the Yankee payroll is, for instance. Or the Dodgers, I think, even have a bigger payroll,
They do.
$200 and some million payroll. We're doing it with what, 87, 89 million?
Yeah, and there's always a lot of focus on payroll. We're a middle market, 15th largest television market in the country. So, you know, our payroll right now, I think in the 30 teams ranks about 20th. You know, the reality is we have more payroll capacity. The bottom line is, though, is that, you know, we've tried to spend our money wisely. We've tried to spend it in areas that are ultimately aimed at making sure that we have some level of flexibility in terms of opportunities with a trade deadline or a trade, whatever it might be. So, you know, as we approach the middle part of our season, we have some capacity to add a player or two, and I think that's going to be important. I tend to believe payroll is focused on way too much. It ultimately comes down to the team that wins the World Series is generally not the team that spends the most money. It's the team that makes the best baseball decisions. And you know, look at the Oakland A's. Look at the the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Minnesota Twins for over a decade really made a lot of good baseball decisions and won a lot of baseball games and 6 division championships in 9 years. So we believe that that's the path to getting us back, you know, into contention. It isn't necessarily payroll.
There are 2 people who are now part of the team field operation that really make me very happy. One is Doug Minkiewicz, and who I always respected for his passion for the game, where he would sit in the floor in the middle of the dugout trying to engender spirit for a rally with a rally cap on and all. And he's down there in Fort Myers now, and team did very, very well under his leadership.
Yeah, and it's doing well again this year. Doug, of course, getting his managerial experience at the Class A Fort Myers Miracle in the Florida State League. He's a smart baseball man. He certainly is a passionate individual, as you've said, and a great father and husband. You know, Doug's certainly working to position himself to get back to the big leagues, whether it be as a manager or as a coach. He has a lot to say, has a lot to offer. There's no doubt in my mind that he has a very bright future, and you know, I'm guessing and really hoping that he'll be with the Twins.
And the other person that really pleased me to see in a uniform once again and in the dugout is Paul Molitor.
Yeah, Paul obviously has a track record that speaks for itself in terms of his playing career and Hall of Fame career, but he also has really evolved within our organization as somebody who's a really good teacher, somebody who relates well to today's young player and a new generation of players. So I know he's had a positive impact not only in the dugout but in the clubhouse, not only with maybe stealing bases or positioning defense or taking an extra base, but also with just providing a level of leadership and frankly a calm voice maybe at times when the game's getting really fast or things might not be going well. I think Paul brings a level of perspective and certainly a level of credibility that really lends him well to a team like ours that has a lot of young players who are trying to find their way.
And passion is really a managerial thing, and Gardy certainly has it. Paul is much more, I would say, level.
Yeah, well,
in terms
Paul,
of temperament.
Yeah, Paul certainly tends to be much more quiet, much but that doesn't mean that he's passive, and it doesn't mean that he's not vocal. He just does it a little bit differently. I actually think the combination we have with our coaches right now is very effective. I think Tom Bernansky brings some of those same kind of a combination between Paul and Gardy. Of course, Rick Anderson's been around for a long time, is a very well-respected pitching coach. So I feel good about where we're at. I think Gardy has made good decisions there, and ultimately I think Ron did a masterful job the first 2 months of the season, really keeping us in it despite not having some of his key horses and frankly not pitching at the level that we thought we were capable of.
And in the little bit of time we have left, I want to mention the Pollard family and the Twins Community Fund, which is contributed to not only by the Pollard family but by everybody, myself included, which does so much throughout all the communities that are touched by the Twins.
Well, we're proud of the history of philanthropy and giving back for the Twins organization. It starts with ownership. The Griffith family from 1961 to 1984, the Pollard family since 1984. They've really set the tone in terms of the importance of community giving. The Twins Community Fund is our 501c3. It was started in 1991 and really focuses on programs and on grants that are aimed at assisting young people really through an association with the game of baseball under softball. So it could be field renovations, it could be scholarships, it could be the operation of the Twins RBI program in Minneapolis and St. Paul that last year I think provided upwards of 6,000 kids the opportunity to play the game of baseball for free. We feel really good about where the Twins Community Fund is. It would never be successful without a really dedicated group of about 20 board members that are truly community board members. They don't work for the Twins. They're Twins fans, but they also are great stewards of our brand and of those dollars. And then, of course, we're really blessed to have 5 great cornerstone partners: Target Corporation, Best Buy, Delta, Treasure Island Resort and Casino, and of course U.S. Bank. And they've contributed mightily to help the Twins Community Fund stabilize and really grow.
Well, Dave, I appreciate you taking the time out to come down here as you do. And I know you've got a lot on your plate between the All-Star game and Houston coming to town today. So really thank you. And we'll see you at the ballpark.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.